One particular instance where I was working at the largest utility company in Houston, Texas at the time. And it was time for me to pay my rent, a very kind landlord. And I literally had gotten off from work. And here I have these children, tiny children, most of them in diapers at the time. I came in after literally getting the money order or the cashier's check for my rent. And here I go, click, click. Wait a minute, click, click. There's no lights. I have 4 children here, and most of them in Pampers and pull-ups, and I have no lights. What was I gonna do? I want to share with you my why I began real estate and why I decided to be an agent. I can remember a time when I was 20 years old, in my younger 20s. I had 4 children. They were stair-step actually, and if you know anything about stair-step kids, like I know about stair-step kids, you know that they were very close in age, literally the ages of 5, 4, 3, and then 1. I had a little break at the time. I can say that there is this one particular instance where I was working at the largest utility company in Houston, Texas at the time. And it was time for me to pay my rent, a very kind landlord. And I literally had gotten off from work. And here I have these children, tiny children, most of them in diapers at the time. I came in after literally getting the money order or the cashier's check for my rent. And here I go, click, click. Wait a minute, click, click. There's no lights. I have 4 children here, and most of them in Pampers and pull-ups, and I have no lights. What was I gonna do? I can remember calling my landlord. My landlord, she did not know. I didn't tell her at the time, but this lady was so kind to me. Every birthday, she was bringing a gift over for my babies. I just didn't have the heart to tell her, I'm sorry, but we need this money to take care of other expenses. That's not the way adult life worked. So I went ahead and she came over to get the check, and she always checks on the inside of her home. She wants to make sure everything is great. She's looking and she's like, Carla, there's no lights. And I'm like, yes ma'am, I know. The lights are off right now and they just got disconnected just before you came. But, and she's like, are you gonna be okay? And at the time inside, I did not know that I was going to be okay. But at the end of the day, because, I had the 4 children there, and I definitely did not want to, as kind as this lady was, I didn't have the heart to tell her, no, please let us have this extra time. Even though she offered that, I said, please, it's okay, I'll figure it out. Let's go ahead and have you to, collect this month's rent because I need that to be taken care of. I went back inside after my landlord left, and with my children, here I am lighting candles, and we're playing board games with them. My 5-year-old, we finished his homework by candlelight. And I'm so thankful that we had an actual gas stove. I was able to prepare them their meal. But at the end of the day, we just, here I am after they went to bed. I'm like, you know what? God, it has to be a better way. It has to be a better way. Please help me so that, one, there are other people out here that are going through the same exact thing that I'm going through. And as a single parent at that time, I never wanted anybody else to feel or suffer what I suffered, and to work 8, 9, 10 hours a day and still not have enough to cover a light bill. And so I began to figure out, how in the world can I help? What can I do to help? God, I want to help myself, but I really want to help others. And, you know, I was praying, and, you know, here I am looking out the window, and looking at my little clunker car that I had outside, and it was a cash car. I had the title to it. And at that point, the next day, that's what I did. I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I'm going to sell my car. And that night, I actually reflected back on my mom. My mom was a single parent at the time as well, when we were growing up. And I can reflect back to a time where my mom actually, when she was in school, she actually took us with her. But during the interim of us being children, like tiny children getting up to adolescence, my mom was able to get not one home, but 2 different homes where she basically, I think she invested in it and she rented them out. And at that point in time, I'm like, okay, real estate is what I can do to help others. I decided that, you know, I went ahead, got on the computer, started researching real estate schools, and I found Champion School of Real Estate. At the time, they actually had a package deal where it was a package of 6 classes for a little bit over, you know, whatever their price was at the time. But I'm like, not even with the sale of my car, I was unable to afford the package deal. So I called them and I, you know, asked, is there any way that I could just pay class by class? I literally sold cookies and baked goods that I can afford to buy at my day job. And on weekends, you know, my kids went with their grandma, and what did I do? I started cleaning homes in order to be able to afford the classes. So class by class by class by class. Eventually all the classes were paid for. I aced every single class, and I'm like, okay, it was time eventually for me to go in and take my exam. I can remember April 1st, literally April Fool's Day of 2011 is when I took my real estate exam, and I aced it. I passed the very first time, literally with like a 90 something. I don't remember the exact score, but I was so excited. And as I came out of there, I just remember just being so grateful and so thankful that I was able to get through that process. And I'm like, okay, God, now I can help others. Now I can, you know, be in a position to help someone else to begin to accumulate wealth. So at that point, I had, you know, to this day, from then to today, it has been literally 13 years. And I'm just so grateful. I honestly have to say that I have really been utilized as a tool for God to help so many different people from so many all forms of walks of life, from investors to, you know, first-time home buyers, teachers, veterans, firefighters. I've worked with owners of grocery stores, just so many different avenues and walks of life to get into their first home, into their second home. I've done relocations, so many different people that I have just really enjoyed the ability to help. And one thing that I can say is that, you know, I really appreciate you guys for just sharing with me your story and being willing to be vulnerable with me. So this is the reason that I wanted to share with you my why. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.